We had a pretty tough road ahead of us this week, especially considering the week that we had last week, but I actually think we might have managed to do it. Our performance for smoothness this week was pretty average all the way across the board, with the exception of Thin Gauntlet, which saw a very small improvement. We saw no new personal best in any of our reactive scenarios this week, but Evoltaic AIO seeing some very close scores, as well as Close Fast Strafe's Invincible seeing 8,000 points. That'll be the first time we've seen a score outside of 7,000 points since we reached our 9,000 point run a couple weeks ago. For Dynamic, we saw some pretty low, but still very consistent scores. Popcorn was by far the most consistent this week, and we'll see more of that when it comes to the benchmarking this week. We also saw Tamspeed get a new personal best, hitting 130 over the previous 126 points. Our static scenarios pretty much across the board saw very, very close scores to new personal bests, but only one managed to reach a new personal best. Wide Wall 4 targets small, reaching a new personal best of 83 over the previous 81 points. One Wall 2 targets small flicks, getting some very close scores, but unfortunately only managing to tie my previous personal best. Target switching was by far the most unfortunate group this week. We saw no new personal bests, but all scenarios falling within 1 or 2 points of their previous scores. Unfortunately, the normal run of benchmarks this week did not bear any fruit at all. But because of my indecision on finding a game to play this week, we decided to continue the stream and do a full 3-hour aim training session. PGTR was the first scenario that we tackled, and it took us probably 20 minutes before we saw a new personal best. Thankfully, that new personal best was 1,649 points, finally putting us over platinum on a scenario that I've struggled with for weeks now. My second was Pasu. With a focus on being accurate, it only took me 5 runs to reach a new personal best of 69.8. Next up, Popcorn. With a measly 3 runs, we managed to hit a new personal best of 250, tying the requirements for platinum. Next up was Pat TS. With a total of 20 runs, we finally managed to creep over to platinum with a score of 91 points. The final one for this week, Smoothbot. And I think you already know how this one's going to shake out. We took a total of 25 runs at Smoothbot this week, and the highest we got was 2681. Still very, very short of where we want to be at 2800 for platinum. Even though our practice was pretty mediocre, we did manage to actually hit 4 new platinum scores, which is actually pretty surprising after last week's performance. But what that does mean is we are now platinum 2, and we have 1 more scenario to go until we reach platinum complete. Unfortunately, that's Smoothbot, and it is the biggest struggle point for me, has been, and I think it always will be. So I think for the coming weeks, we're not going to change a thing. We're going to keep pushing for diamond on every other scenario, and hopefully Smoothbot will come up alongside of it. If you haven't already, check out last week's video where we reached a number of new platinum scores and set us up for success this week.